I told him very briefly of the story you told me and Andrew about how you and King Charles are BFFs.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah. We go way back. I was supposed to go to the coordination, but instead I'm here with you guys because this is more important.
Yeah, so if everyone knows what's been going on in the world with the Queen dying, and there's been for the past week they've been doing
10
her
days
body.
of mourning.
Yeah, it's. So when I was back home visiting my parents, my mom was glued to the TV every day, all day long, and I was just like, oh my gosh. But I mean, my mom, that's what she likes. She's into that. I mean, she was getting up in the middle of the night when Princess Diana got married, and then
she was a great lady, and it's the only royalty we've ever known, the only Queen any of us have ever known.
Queen
she's done a great job for what she does.
But so there's a story here now. When Aaron started telling the story, I started laughing. I'm like, dude, I want to hear this story from Phil himself, and everyone needs to hear.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version.
Yeah, let's get the non-hour-long version.
Yeah, the Reader's Digest version. Yeah, I am working at Omni Netherland Plaza in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm the doorman there, and that's where I started growing the mustache. The general manager came down. He said, "Hey, I like your mustache. How about if you start curling it? Put a little wax in there." I'm like, "Do what?" So he talked me into wearing it. So I started wearing it. Well, I was pretty good at that job. I got a lot of compliments and stuff. It was always the guy with the mustache, the guy with the handlebars were always the answers. So I come to work one day, and there's a note on my locker. Go see Mr. Kinney. That's the GM. Go see Mr. Kinney before you change. What the hell do I do now? I must have did something stupid. So I go downstairs, and at that time, they were called secretaries. She says, "Phil, he's been waiting for you all day. Go right on in." Man, something ain't right. I go in. He says, "Have a seat." I said, "Okay, I guess I'm fired again." So here, let's see what's going on here. And he says, "All right." He says, "Listen, I have a letter here from the CEO of the president of the North American operations of the Omni Hotels." I said, "Yes, sir." He says, "The Prince of Wales is coming to the United States." I said, "Okay." He says, "He's going to be staying on our property in Charleston, South Carolina." All right. He says, "You've been requested to be his doorman." I said, "Excuse me?" He said, "You've been requested to be his personal doorman." I'm like, "Yeah, sure I was." He goes, "No, I'm serious." He said, "I know you got to discuss with your family, make sure it's all okay and everything." I said, "Do I leave today?" He goes, "Oh, no, it's in a week." I said, "Yeah, I'll believe when I see the airplane ticket." After the airplane ticket. So I go to Charleston, South Carolina. So I'm there at the hotel. And we had this big meeting with there was like 100 or 200 other people brought in. And I was the only one front of house. Everything else was banquet setups, housekeeping, all that kind of stuff. So we had this big hoorah meeting, and we're picking the groups. I don't have a group. So this gentleman walks over, and he says, "You must be Phil." I said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Your mustache precedes you." He goes, "I'm Dean Andrews. I thought we were going to have a problem." Dean Evans. "I thought we were going to have a problem with that mustache." "That's a great mustache." I said, "Thank you." So I go there. We get ready and all stuff. I do a couple other things, and I'm there for a couple of days. Well, then the prince shows up. So my gig is when they pull up, I open up all the doors. Him and his entourage get out. They go open up the doors. They go in the building. They go do their deals. They come back out. We do it again. Well, when he gets into the car to leave, I have a driver. I get in that car, and we get there before he does. So when he shows up, I'm standing there. So the first day I've done this 3 or 4 times, and he comes up, and he gets out of the car, and he says to me, he says, "Phil, are you going to be every place I'm going to be?" I said, "Sir, if there's a door involved, I shall be there." He said, "I have no worries." I said, "No, sir." Off he went. So the second day we're doing this all again, and he looked at me and he goes, "You know, that's a wonderful mustache." And that's when I said, the world can kiss my ass. I ain't never shaving again. And if the Prince Charles will have a cool mustache, I'm all right. So I've been wearing it ever since.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool deal. It was a lot of fun.
Good for you, Taxi Phil. Yeah. That's such a freaking cool story, man.
And now you're best friends with the king.
Oh yeah, me and the king hang out, man. We do tea and stuff and crumpets and all that good stuff.
I love that story. That's such a good one. Good for you.
Love tea and trumpets.
Yeah, it's a good story. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of stuff involved with it, but that was the Reader's Digest version. It was like the top 5, it was the top 100 CEOs in the UK and the United States were there at the time. And a lot of big names.
Including Taxi Phil.
Yeah, Taxi Phil. At the time, I wasn't Taxi Phil yet. I was the doorman. I was Doorman Phil.
Doorman Phil.
Phil the doorman.
Phil the doorman. That's weird.
Yeah. And that's why Yeah, when we got a new front office manager, she came down and asked me who the hell I was.
We can't
There's
even
a Bob Hope story.
I mean, that's for next year. We'll put that on the docket for next year, Taxi Phil.
Yep. All right. Anytime you want to holler at me and you're bored and you got nothing to do, let me know.
Phil's got a story. We don't have a guest
tonight. You just want to. We'll just call Taxi Phil and be like, "Hey, you're on the show tonight," and just tell a story, and we'll just kick back.
No problem. As long as Andrew ain't there, I'm in.